And this was after a year of our board thinking about new directions. We started in January of 2020, back before COVID, thinking that we really needed to bring some new insights into NAMI, Colorado. And we started out the year, and boy, did we ever have opportunity for exploring new directions. We've gone through the same kind of thing that St. Luke's has, with the shift from in-person activity to doing everything online. And we've learned a lot. There are some benefits to it. There are some losses. And I think just like St. Luke's, we're planning on a hybrid future that gives us some of each. We've also been much touched by the Black Lives Matter movement this year and all that has happened, and taking a very hard look at how we can become more diverse, more inclusive at NAMI, Colorado. With all that in mind, we found a candidate that has immense experience in working with nonprofits, working with nonprofit boards of directors, and not only that, but a Denver native who's very well connected, and among his very good connections, he is a 40-year member of Congregation Rodef Shalom, our worship partner as well. So I feel a special connection with him. He's going to talk today about mental wellness, about where we are going at NAMI, Colorado, and our big upcoming annual event that used to be a big in-person event that would draw close to 1,000 people is now a virtual walk. It is one of the projects that St. Luke's Outreach Committee is participating in, and you will be hearing more about that in the coming weeks. We have a couple of things we'd like to invite you to participate in. On Saturday, May 22nd, we will have an informal walk. This is not a big deal, but for those of you who are ready to be outside and see old friends and join together in walking to support NAMI, Colorado, and programs for mental health throughout our state, we invite you. There'll be details in the May LARC as well as in the weekly e-news. If you have any questions in the meantime, you can reach out to me or any of the outreach committee members. I see Amanda Ayers, our chair, is here, and there are probably some others around. Anyway, we'll be happy to tell you about it. A second project we're doing that doesn't involve face-to-face activity is engaging our youth in creating some artwork showing ways that they do when they're feeling sad or upset, things that they can do to make themselves feel better. And we're going to have those artwork pieces displayed online, and several members of the outreach committee have pledged to donate an amount for each work of art that will again go to support our NAMI walk. So we encourage you to do that, to join us in that effort as well. And that's described both in the LARC article, and there'll be more in the e-news, and you'll be able to view the pieces at several locations. With that, enough. Let's hear from Ray.
Well, good morning, everybody. This is such an opportunity, and I will tell you that you are my neighborhood church. I literally am off of 8th Place here in Lowry, and for the past 20 years, the number of times I drive by this beautiful building, which I have learned is part of Denver's historic preservation, and a lot of work going into that, it just warms my heart it feels like your neighbors, even though you're on Zoom, to imagine us all sitting there in the pews, sharing conversation and sharing coffee. So it's not out of one of those little cups that you might get after services, but instead your own preferred mugs. So I see a lot of you raising your glasses, and I'm thrilled with that. I'm going to go back and forth between sharing the screen and not sharing the screen a little bit, because I want us to be able to have this as a conversation. But to give you a little context, a little bit about why me, why now, why mental health, and then a little bit about NAMI. and the NAMI walks in particular, because it's such an easy way, particularly with it being virtual, to give back to the community. And we are often asked that question, what else can I do? And I think Anna had shared with you, between social justice and between all that's going on with economic justice, whether it be housing or whether it be workforce development. And then when it comes to just neighborhood justice, issues of housing and things like that, there's a lot of questions that we as congregants often ask. What else can we do? And we feel powerless sometimes, or we feel like we're just not doing enough. And so I think that's one of our calls, is being a participant in something like NAMI Walks is just the beginning of getting invested in a very important part of our community that touches us so many. So let me go ahead and share with you a little bit that tells you a little bit more background. Can you guys see that? All right, great. I called this Wisdom, Wellness, and Walks, because if we all come together on, in my case, Saturday mornings, in your case, Sunday mornings, we're sharing the wisdom that we have from all of those who came before us and trying to learn lessons from what they had shared. And many of it is in the context of wellness. How do we build a better community? How do we build a better environment? How do we build better neighborhoods? And then the walks that I'll get to. So a little bit, let me go ahead and actually put this into the slideshow mode here. The first picture I want to share with you kind of gives you a little bit of context. So this cute guy who his mom forced him to dress in this suit is me. And then I have my brother and my sister. My brother is a local pediatrician here. My sister an occupational therapist. And my mother, who literally just moved from her house of 25 years to an apartment complex off of Cherry Creek Drive South in Alameda, to finally get that view that she wanted of Denver. And the reason I share that story real quickly is I think we all know what we have in our community, but sometimes we take it for granted. The mountains, the beautiful views, the weather, the sunshine, things like that. And that's such an important part of wellness, is making sure we take that sunshine and take it in. So to have been born at Fitzsimmons Army Medical Center, to now live on what was once Lowry Air Force Base in a neighborhood that's got St. Luke's Episcopal Church in it, makes me be reminded just how much this community has to offer and how lucky we are to be in this community. The other is to be able to articulate the wonderful opportunities we have with Augustana Lutheran at Road of Shalom and the interfaith study that we've done with them, to be able to know that we're doing Bible study with you and some of my dear friends from Road of Shalom who are continuing to participate in that. That says that there are no boundaries between faith, there are no boundaries in neighborhoods, and even with Zoom, in this case, there are no boundaries with geographic location. So part of the wisdom and the wellness that I want to be able to share is exactly why we are doing something like this. And if I'm correct, you looked at hymn 4 today. Answer me when I call, O God, defender of my cause. You set me free when I am hard pressed. Have mercy on me and hear my prayer. Think about the call of NAMI, National Alliance on Mental Illness, and the number of people who feel like they may not be being heard, or who are scared to call out, or who have lost direction and are looking for it again. So that wisdom that comes from hymn 4 of answer me when I call, O God, defender of my cause, to know that we have that greater power that is surrounding us. But then when people have that inspiration to then volunteer for a cause like NAMI or any other nonprofit that we're blessed with, we actually have more nonprofits per capita in Metro Denver than any other city in the country. So that just says that we're a community that wants to take action, whether it's to put food into tummies, to put roof over heads, or to help people find mental wellness. And so this acceptance to be able to have mercy on someone and to understand that they may be having a struggle or their family may be having a struggle. And that's where NAMI comes in. Ultimately, we are an organization that's the largest grassroots organization in the country for mental health. And what we do is we offer peer-to-peer for that individual who's looking for a call out, for someone who understands them. The second is family support programs. If you're a family member with someone struggling with mental illness, you can go to these family support programs. And then outreach programs, things like ending the silence for the kids in the high school, to hear about destigmatizing mental illness and being able to talk about it more openly, and to know what the signs may be for someone who is considering taking their own lives or something similar to that. And other outreach programs that we're really trying to grow are sharing hope with the African American and Black community to be able to understand there are cultural differences, and that necessarily coming from a Latino family, we have something called Compartiendo Esperanza, and that a Latino family, that we have a chair of the co-walk, Dominique Martinez, talks about coming from Mexico, and mental health is just not one of the things you talk about. And certainly if there's mental illness in the family, you don't talk about it. So knowing that just conversation and dialogue with cultural competency, with an understanding of what an individual from a Black, Indigenous, or persons of color may need for their own conversation about mental wellness may not be the classic NAMI conversation. And so we're working really hard on those outreach programs. And then how we depend on our connections. And this is the story about the move. Is when I was in Denver, and I'm going to take this off share for a little bit, just a second, so I can come back and see these beautiful faces. When I was in Washington, D.C. for about 10 years, and I was lobbying for medical research, trying to get more funding. There was a gentleman named Dr. Tony Fauci, who you all know, who I had the pleasure of literally at a congressional hearing. He had brought Arthur Ashe, the tennis player, and Elizabeth Taylor, the actress, to testify on AIDS and to talk about the AIDS epidemic. And I'm thinking, fast forward to where we are now. Again, we have this expert in science sharing his own view. We have a global pandemic that was going on. And we have a lot of desire to be able to help people in need. In that particular case, it was someone from either a blood transfusion or someone else who had gotten AIDS or HIV through other means. And our reality was we were stigmatizing AIDS. And then we began to get to this point of being able to talk about it more openly and to be able to do the science and to support the science. And that's same true. My wife, a breast cancer survivor, we couldn't even say the words breast cancer. Now you can't count the number of plates when you're at a red light that have the breast cancer logo on them, and people saying put an end to breast cancer or an end to cancer or childhood cancer. And so I think that's where we are with mental health. You can see us dramatically rising up and being able to make a bigger difference in being able to talk about it and getting people to seek the help using free programs like NAMI or other resources that they have. So the story about the move is we were loving our life. We had 2 kids. We had just bought a house in Arlington, Virginia. We were so excited to be working with people like Dr. Fauci and people that were speaking up on behalf of medical research. I remember one of the last people that I got the pleasure of working with was Christopher Reeve, Superman, and he had spoken after his spinal cord injury. And I remember writing, I was a ghostwriter, and I wrote at the end of his speech, "One day like you, I will walk the halls of Congress." And that vision of hope is why we're here, is we all share this collective belief. And so despite having a great job, a great home, and a great family, there was something that called us back to Denver. And it was that Denver community. It was our parents. It was my brother. It was my wife's sister. It was family. It was this ability to come together. And that's what the NAMI Walks does, is if you can't even walk necessarily for reasons of COVID or reasons of health or reasons of geographic distance, that's okay. NAMI Walks this way is inviting you to be able to share stories, to be able to share pictures, to be able to post on whether you're Facebook. I have a 14-year-old daughter. We're going to be a Garden of the Gods, and I'm going to ask her to do a TikTok because I don't know how to TikTok, and you don't want me doing TikTok. But that's this beauty of what this opportunity is presenting. And I tell people NAMI Walks is simply cutting the ribbon to an entire year of awareness. NAMI is celebrating its 40th anniversary. We're going to be coming out of the pandemic. There's so much celebration to be had. It's as though that call for mercy and that call for opportunity is being answered for us. And so that's a real exciting thing. So let me share a few more things with you, and then we'll kind of open this to conversation. Are there any comments or questions before I dive back into the PowerPoint? I want to give people an opportunity if there are. Good. We're okay? Great. Well, let me go ahead and come back to the to give you a little context here. So part of what I wanted to do is give you a call to action to make sure that you have an opportunity to understand what you can do. And so while I shared a little bit of the background about who NAMI is, I also wanted to give you these calls to action. And one is just vaccinators, is make sure that people know The reason we're paying so much attention to mental health right now is before the pandemic, 1 in 5 people were affected by mental illness. Now, with adults reporting anxiety or depression, we're experiencing 1 in 3 individuals. So that's a fact and figure. If you go to NAMI.org, you'll see all these other facts and figures that you can share. But the other is doing what we're doing, is having a conversation, talking openly about mental illness. Some people ask me why I got involved, and I'll tell you that about a month ago at our congregation, my son, along with 2 other individuals, were the speakers. And my son got up there to talk about his general anxiety disorder and just how difficult it is for him to do certain things in the day, where you or I may climb into bed after saying our nightly prayers or saying our good nights. He would check time and time again to make sure the bed was tucked in the right way, that his clock was set, that things were in the right position. And some may say that's an obsessive compulsive disorder, but when you have general anxiety disorder, you really worry. There's something that just isn't letting the light switch shut off. And so even though he's a terrific student who's about to graduate from Colorado College, he still has this anxiety. Am I doing the work well enough? Did I answer the question? Should I ask the professor another question and another question and another question? So for a professor to understand that he has anxiety disorder helps that conversation better between the 2 of them. So just the fact that I'm telling you about my son, that my son spoke to the congregation, and that we're all telling the story, we're beginning to destigmatize and talk openly. But there's also policy. If you're one of those wonky people that wants to be involved in policy, please reach out to me or Anna. We have a public policy committee that requires no experience necessary. But if you have a story to tell, your legislature wants to hear from you. And we have this opportunity to speak up for or against policies that impact us and our families related to mental health. And there are 32 bills right now, just to show you how busy and how important mental health is. Everything from a 988 suicide prevention line to getting more resources from the American Rescue Plan into the hands of peace officers, people that are going to intervene early to divert people from jail or the emergency room, and instead hopefully just get them some social work or mental health care that we can do on the spot. So that's the real important policies. And then of course the activity of NAMI Walks Your Way. And so before we dive a little deeper, as I did, I wanted to share some of these statistics. 51.5 million people. That's where you get to the 1 in 5 or 1 in 6. So think about how we're trying to vaccinate everybody, and think about these 51 million individuals. And imagine if you're one of those individuals who has anxiety. There are challenges that we may want to understand when people are going into conversations about going back to work, reconvening in a public place like a church, being able to get a vaccine. Is sometimes there's an invisible illness that we don't know about. And if fewer than half the adults who are experiencing mental illness are not going for that help, it's really important that we work on destigmatizing this. So know that you are not alone. For those that use the hashtags on their Instagram or on their Facebook, who makes you feel hashtag not alone? What makes you feel connected to your community? And share those stories, even if it's not tied to mental illness. It's one of my challenges to each of you, is constantly talk about how you feel connected to community, because now more than ever, we must come together as a community and always know there are these resources out there, whether you use the phone, the texting, or the email. NAMI has all of those resources. So coming up in about a month, we have NAMI Walks Your Way, a United Day of Hope on Saturday, May 22nd. And what we're really trying to do is make mental health a priority. The walk is the way to get involved. You have a team called St. Luke's Stompers. So if you go to namiwalks.org and you look at the Colorado Walk, you will see St. Luke's Stompers, and you can sign up to be a walker. You can pledge to a team member on there. I may do my shout out to Anna because she's such a phenomenal board member and colleague of mine and making things work at NAMI as they do. So you can support Anna's walk directly, and know that every time you make a donation or you register, you're leading that anti-stigma campaign. You're helping us have that dialogue with mental health, and you're raising funds to continue those programs that I said to you are free and available to all members of the community. These are signs that you can print off. And so you can do a walk, I walk because, and handwrite it or artistically create your own sign that says, I hope, and then go ahead and post a picture of it or walk around Central Park with it when you guys are going on the walk. These are our co-chairs, and I'm pleased that one of our colleagues within the faith movement, Reverend Amy Petrie-Hill, who works on the mental health and inclusion ministries. I just want to read out loud because it's a really beautiful piece there. That may be beyond my abilities. Sorry, Siri wanted to read the quote instead. I support NAMI Walks Your Way because every person is sacred and deserves love, dignity, and respect. NAMI Walks Your Way creates safe spaces where we can celebrate one another's lives and advocate for mental health justice. I love that her quote ends in mental health justice. It's not enough just for mental health, but in our move to make this a more inclusive, a more strong community, we have to have mental health justice. And so last year we raised over 100,000, and that was about $4 for every $5 we raised in a non-pandemic year. So I believe we can raise just as much as we raised back in 2019, even though we're still virtual. We had nearly 300 participants, 64 teams, and a dozen states. So if you have a relative that you want to involve, give them that link to namiwalks.org/Colorado and tell them to register or donate. 100% of the funds stay in our community, $10 million overall. The 1 in 5 is now 1 in 3, so it's that important, and we'll be able to come together as a community. What I wanted to now share at this point is just a little video.
Understanding how important that physical fitness is to mental health and just being a part of it. It was beautiful to get out here and see how many people are passionate about the same things that I am. In the Black communities where I grew up, that mental health is not a topic at all. So people seeing me out here, I felt that, oh.
Sorry, I don't think I had the sound being shared there, did I?
You did. We were hearing it.
Okay, got it. We'll come right back to him then. I'm sorry about that.
Well, open up some doors for young African males and women.
Mental health for all.
We've got another one that's coming up here, but this is register early. You can make your donation. You can customize your walk page. I've done that, and you can visit my page to see how I tell the story with my family and this story I shared a little bit earlier. And you can send a link to other people asking them, and that's the link down there, the namiwalks.org, Colorado. When you click that, you obviously go to a site that brings up this beautiful NAMI Walks Colorado page that begins to show you can register, you can donate, you can track what our goals are. And as you continue to scroll down, it just tells you all these different ideas. You can walk or run, you can plan a craft like the arts that Anna was talking about. You can hold a virtual bake-off with your team. I love these ideas. Practice self-care, just doing yoga or painting. So there's wonderful, terrific opportunities there that you can be able to do that as well. One of the last things that I wanted to share before we come back, and I want to encourage you guys to ask questions about what NAMI does, how you can get involved, the walk specifically, all those different things. We'll be able to do that for sure. But to give you just one more context in this, one more video that I thought was just a beautiful story.
It's been a year, and that's why we decided to do this on her anniversary of her death, to live like Sierra and together come and do this NAMI Walk Your Way. Mental health for all means no one will get left behind.
So this beautiful power of walking in someone's memory, I think is great. And these are all the resources that are available. It is so exciting to know that we have a national organization at NAMI that is doing all the hard work to be able to put all of these things together. And so know that once you get on there and you register for the walk, members to join, you can ask those to support your team, start a Facebook fundraiser. I've raised over $3,000 just through Facebook, which I am astounded. So it works as long as you're willing to post out there. Email family and friends and simply ask. Once you ask, people understand the importance of this. So with that, I want to make this hopefully you got during that time, you grabbed your cup of coffee and warmed it up, or you went ahead and poured your tea, whatever you're doing. It's now a conversation among all of us, but I want to thank each and every one of you for taking out additional time from your service to join for coffee to be able to have what is a really important conversation.
Thank you. I'm going to turn off the recording now. It is our custom that as we move into discussion,